Today we're going to be getting started with your abstract photography and the computer program that you're going to be using. Before we get there, let's go ahead and take a look at where all of your pictures are located. So today you're going to be going down here to your file folder and you're going to be looking in Data G. Data G should have a folder in there called Art. We're going to go ahead and look in 6th grade. And then you'll see that there's one called Photography. So let's go ahead and look on Photography. Now what we do have here is all of your file folders are in here with the people that you shared 3rd hour and 7th hour, so both of the classes. Next what we're going to do is, so if I go in here and I click, what we have here is you can see the pictures. You can do this a couple of different ways. I just right clicked to bring up View and I can go to extra large icons so I can see them all at once. Or what I could do is I could also click on this and let's go ahead and click on a picture. Then you can kind of scroll through them and see the different pictures of what the photos that you took. So let's go back. What we're needing to do first is I want you to play around in the program before you actually play around with your photos. You're going to be doing some practice photos. So we're going to go down to practice, and in here what you'll see is that there are 3 photos that I have selected for you. So these are very easy general ones here. We have one of Sharpies, we have one of paintbrushes, we also have one of my hands. So what you're going to do is choose one of these photos, and it doesn't really matter which one you want, just kind of go ahead and pick one. Then what you're going to be using is we're going to open up a program called Pixlr today. And Pixlr is much like Photoshop. Let's go ahead and get you into Pixlr first. So if you go to Pixlr, it is P-I-X-L-R, Pixlr.com. Now what we're going to be using is the Pixlr editor. And this is, if you've ever heard of Photoshop, it has some of the same things as Photoshop. It makes it kind of easy. So we're going to go ahead and go to Open Image from Computer. So it's like Photoshop except a little bit easier, and it also is free. So that's another good thing. So once again, what you're going to be doing is going to Data G, Art, 6th grade, and down to Photography. Now right now we're just doing practice, and I think I want to go ahead and do the paintbrush one. So I'm going to go ahead and click the middle one here. We're going to go ahead and say Open. Now what we have is the paintbrush container. Now what you are required to do for this practice is just to work with some of the different tools, and I want you to kind of experiment and play around with them and learn the program before you're expected to do the program for your project. So let's go ahead, and one important thing that you're going to need to know how to do is how to crop. So I took this picture. And it has a lot of stuff in the background that I really kind of don't want. So let's go ahead and use this tool, and I'm going to make a square around it. And then what I'm going to do is, now that's the grid, and I'm going to hit the Enter key, and it takes it down to more of what I want. You know what, I want just a little bit more of that gone, so I'm going to do a little bit more. I can hit enter again. If I wanted to, I could even get closer and just do part of the paintbrushes. So if I wanted to get even closer, I could do that. Next thing that you're going to do is, let's go ahead and play around with some of the other things in here. So on my paint brushes, what I'm wanting to do is I want to make it look like there is some paint dripping. Now I'm going to want to get closer because I just want to deal with one paintbrush. So I'm going to go over here to the navigator, and I'm going to be able to zoom in. Now when I zoom in, that doesn't do anything to change my photo. I'm just zooming in so I can see one specific area. So let's go ahead with, I'm going to choose this paintbrush, and I'm going to put some paint on there to make it look like. So I'm going to choose paintbrush. Next what I have down here, so that's the paintbrush icon tool. Next what I have down here is the color that I want to choose and make it. So if I wanted red or if I wanted yellow, any of those things. Now you also need to go over here to the hue so I know how much color I want here. So let's go back, let's make it, it's a nice color right there. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Now what I'm going to start off doing is I can start painting, and I want this to look like there's paint still on the end of my paintbrush. So as I'm doing that, let me show you, there are different kinds of brushes you can use. So if that paintbrush is too big or too small, you can go in here say it needs to be smaller, so I'm going to go ahead and start using this one so I can start painting this little itty bitty area over here a little bit more. Now as I get back over to the other area, this is going to be much too small for me, so I'm going to change my brush size to something bigger, more of like how I had it before. Let's go ahead and click off of that. Oops, I made a mistake over here. So let's talk about how to fix a mistake. So I can go to Edit, Undo. It's a real nice tool. You can edit, undo, and take it back to where it was. So now I have some red paint on my paintbrush. Looks like somebody did not clean out their paintbrush very well. Okay, now what I'm going to do is let's zoom back out. There's my photo. Okay, after you kind of played around with that, changing a color of some kind, now what you're going to do is you can play around with some of the other things in here. Let's go to Adjustment. So if I wanted to, there's all kinds of things in here that you could work with. Let's try old photo. So it kind of makes it a little bit black and white. If you like the old photo look, great. If you don't, undo that. Let's go over to filters. There's all kinds of different things you can do with your filters. So let's go ahead and let's say sharpen. So if you're wondering, well, exactly how do I know what they do? Sometimes you just got to play with them and figure out what you're doing. So I don't really want that one either. Let's go ahead and work on color balance. So on this one, we're going to really kind of bring up some of the different colors and kind of do some things here and kind of play around with adding or subtracting different portions of the light. You can see some of the different colors in here. Oh, I like that. Much more vivid. Okay, so as you are doing these, make sure that you are remembering, okay, I cropped, I painted, I used color vibrance. Make sure that you know what you're doing. After you've made at least 3 changes, then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and save this. So you can go to File and Save. And when you save this, don't save it as a random title. Instead, what you're wanting is go ahead and put your name, Mrs. Rao. This is my abstract example. Okay. Now you're going to go ahead and say OK. You do need to choose where to put it. So let's pretend I'm in 7th hour. This is my practice photo. So I'm going to go ahead and put Save. All right. Now I am finished with the portion of Pixlr of changing my photographs. Now what you're going to be doing is going to Google Classroom. In Google Classroom, I do have a small worksheet for you, or a small Google form for you, that asks you what picture did you choose, and it also asks you what tool did you use and how did you change your project with that tool. I would say it is probably to your best interest to go ahead and keep this picture up and loaded and this program up and loaded so you can kind of go back through and say, what did I do? Oh yeah, here's what I did. So, all right, go ahead and finish that. Once you are finished with your project, with your practice, then you can go ahead and move on to your own project, and you're going to be doing the same thing with the Google Classroom once again. All right, have fun.